Beautiful day for a lot of miserable politics. I'm Rob Schmidt. Thanks for starting your day with us. And straight to a Fox News alert. President Trump feeling totally vindicated as James Comey gets prepared to testify.
The former FBI director releasing a prepared statement before today's blockbuster Senate hearing. And
Ellison Barber is live in Washington with the details. Ellison.
We are just hours away from former FBI Director James Comey's testimony before Congress, and we already have a pretty good idea of what he's going to say because the Senate Intelligence Committee released his prepared opening statements yesterday. And in those prepared statements, Comey says that he did tell President Trump he was not under investigation. He also claims President Trump asked for a so-called loyalty pledge and once suggested the FBI drop their investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Comey claims that the latter happened about 3 months ago at the Oval Office. Writing in his testimony, quote, "We were alone. The president began by saying, I want to talk about Mike Flynn. He then said, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go." Comey goes on to say that he felt the president was, quote, requesting the FBI drop the Flynn investigation, but not the broader investigation into Russia. Trump previously denied the Flynn accusations on NBC News.
Did you ask him to drop the investigation?
No, never.
And some Republicans say that the president did not cross the line. We think we have some sound from Senator James Lankford here.
I think it's right for a president to expect him to be honest, and I would say that's the best way to handle it. What I didn't see is him being pressured by anyone else, and Jim Comey doesn't articulate anyone else pressuring him.
Some Democrats disagree with that. Obviously, a few Republicans are saying that they feel like President Trump went up to the line with Comey, but he did not cross it. Democrats are disagreeing. In a statement, Representative Adam Schiff has said, quote, "The fact that this request was made after the president excused everyone else from the room strongly indicates that the president was more than aware of the illegitimacy of such demands." So far, Trump is not commenting on Comey's prepared remarks, but his personal attorney is. In a statement, he said, quote, "The president is pleased that Mr. Comey has finally publicly confirmed his private reports that the president was not under investigation in any Russian probe. The president feels completely and totally vindicated." Comey's public testimony is expected to begin at 10 a.m. this morning. Afterwards, there will be a private briefing for members of that Senate Intelligence Committee. Of course, with a congressional hearing like this, it could lead to something like impeachment. Also, could lead to absolutely nothing. Guys?
That's the truth.
Yes, it is.
Ellison, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us now to Look Who's Talking. And this morning, President Trump's former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, says there is absolutely no hidden agenda behind the president's decision to fire James Comey.
What the president asked for was loyalty to the country and loyalty to make sure that the American people have the justice system that they want. That's not unheard of. That's not uncalled for. And what the president asked for as a president-elect was to develop a rapport with the incoming FBI director. If you read the statement that the FBI director made, what he said was in his entire tenure, he had 2 conversations with Barack Obama when he was the president of the United States. One was to simply say goodbye. And in the time that President Trump has taken office, from the time he was the president-elect till the time Jim Comey was fired for not performing his job well, he had 9 separate conversations with the president in multiple meetings. The difference is this president is hands-on, wants to make sure that we have the best Justice Department available, and he made the decision as the commander-in-chief to relieve a person from duty who is no longer capable of running the FBI.
Sparks fly on CNN after spending 10 straight hours on James Comey before a single word of testimony has begun. A conservative journalist calling out many of her colleagues over their reporting. Take a look.
On a panel, sometimes it feels like a lot of reporters have already come to a conclusion about that before they've even heard him speak.
I have been in that room and in that place 150 feet from the Oval Office for 20 years. So I'm not condemning him, but I'm going to tell you this, there's a lot of smoke.
I think that's a big egg on the face for many of the media who wanted this to be a big thing.
My face is clean, no egg.
And as the left desperately tries to make a case for impeachment, clinging on to the widely debunked accusations of obstruction of justice, the Federalist's Molly Hemingway says the Watergate comparisons don't actually hold any water.
Whenever anyone makes a comparison to Watergate in this town, it's usually a desperate plea for attention. At this point, the only similarities you have are highly placed intelligence officials leaking to the press. But we don't even have anyone who's come forth with a crime yet. And we are still waiting to hear what this crime is in which Trump or people might be implicated. And it's far past time for these intelligence officials who've been playing this game and putting out innuendos about Watergate to actually give us some substance on which to hang it. Or they need to just, put up or shut up.
All right, America's top intelligence chiefs grilled on Capitol Hill in the lead-up to today, saying that they never felt pressured to cover up the FBI's Russia investigation.
Why are you not answering these questions? Is there an invocation by the President of the United States of executive privilege? Is there or not?
Not that I'm aware of.
Then why are you not answering
because I feel it is inappropriate, Senator.
Why are you not answering the questions? Is it an invocation of executive privilege? If there is, then let's know about it. If there isn't, answer the questions.
I stand by the comments I've made. I'm not interested in repeating myself, sir. And I don't mean that in a contentious way.
Well, I do mean it in a contentious way. I don't understand why you're not answering our questions. Mr. Coates, same series of questions. What's the basis for your refusal to answer these questions today?
The basis is what I've previously explained. I do not believe it is appropriate for me to
What's the basis? I'm not satisfied with I do not believe it is appropriate or I do not feel I should answer. I want to understand a legal basis. You swore that oath to tell us the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth, and today you are refusing to do so. What is the legal basis for your refusal to testify to this committee?
I'm not sure I have a legal basis.
Well, pray you're never wrapped up in a Senate probe. Testifying before the Senate Intelligence Committee, the NSA boss is doubling down, saying they never felt cornered to dial back the Russia probe, but they refused to reveal private conversations with the president.
It's time to put America first. President Trump bringing a message of hope to Cincinnati, promising to put Americans back to work and to repeal Obamacare. Griff Jenkins is live in Washington, D.C. with more of his message. Good morning, Griff.
Hey, good morning, Jillian. The president getting out of town, speaking along the Ohio River in Cincinnati. He promised to rebuild the country, put Americans back to work, and create what he called a first-class system of roads, bridges, waterways, and airports.
The American people deserve the best infrastructure anywhere in the world. It's time to recapture our legacy as a nation of builders and to create new lanes of travel, commerce, and discovery. And we're going to see all the way into the future. And the future is going to be beautiful, and the future is going to be bright.
His infrastructure plan, which the White House has yet to detail, would use $200 billion in public funds to generate some $1 trillion in investment in construction in a public-private partnership. The president also raised the issue of repealing and replacing Obamacare, visiting with families that he called, quote, victims of the Obamacare catastrophe, noting that a major insurer, Anthem, pulled out of the insurance exchange in Ohio this week, leaving many Ohioans, particularly without coverage. And he pressed Senate Republicans to send him a health care bill very soon while labeling Democrats as obstructionists.
If we gave you the greatest plan in the history of the world, you would have no Democratic vote. It's all going to be Republicans or bust. And the Republicans are working very, very hard on getting a great health care plan. So now it's the Senate's turn to act.
But Democrats may not be the president's only problem standing in the way of that agenda on infrastructure and health care, as that much anticipated testimony of the former FBI director he fired is set to take place in just a few hours, guys.
Yeah, we're going to have more on Obamacare coming up here in just a few minutes. Absolutely. All right, Griff, thanks so much. All right, a Fox News alert, a terror attack outside the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine. As you were sleeping, an attacker throwing an explosive device over the compound's fence in Kiev. Nobody was hurt, but no suspects are in custody at this point. We're going to bring you more information as it comes in. Also, tensions nearing a boiling point with North Korea as the rogue nation conducts even more missile launches. The 4 land-to-ship rockets blasting into the sea. U.S. officials say these are short-range missiles. They do not pose a threat to Americans. This is the country's 4th missile test in a month and comes less than a week after the UN Security Council passed new sanctions against North Korea.
3 more arrested overnight in connection to the London Bridge terror attack. This as brand new dramatic video emerges, but we do want to warn you, some people may find it graphic. The video shows the moment cops gunned down knife-wielding jihadis, ending the horrific rampage. The 3 terrorists seen stabbing an innocent man walking down the street. Within seconds, armed cops storm in and open fire, killing the extremists with a hail of bullets. 8 people were killed and 48 others injured in the massacre. The government contractor accused of leaking top-secret NSA documents to the media is expected to plead not guilty. 25-year-old reality winner hopes to be released on bond at a detention hearing today. She is charged with providing a report about Russian interference in the presidential election to The Intercept online news outlet. Winner's lawyers claim she is innocent until proven guilty. Well, the stars aligning in Nashville for one of the biggest nights in country music.
That's right, and unlike every other award show, it seems, the CMT Awards steered clear of politics. Jackie Abania is live with some of the night's biggest moments. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, good morning. Kind of refreshing to hear, huh? Well, the biggest stars in country music coming together for a historical night in the heart of Nashville. Listen. The CMT Awards kicking off with an all-star tribute to the late Greg Allen. Fans also getting a big surprise from actor Ashton Kutcher.
Nashville.
The Hollywood star mic dropping a catfish there on stage to cheer on the Nashville Predators hockey team as they gear up for the Stanley Cup. It's become a tradition for fans to hurl that fish onto the ice during games, believe it or not. Carrie Underwood's husband plays for the team, but last night wasn't about him. Underwood taking home 2 awards, making her the most celebrated performer in the history of the CMT Awards. She now has a total of 17.
Thank you for voting. This award show is really cool because it's voted on by you guys, and you guys are the ones that buy our music.
Such a class act. Keith Urban took home top honors with Video of the Year and 3 other awards. And newcomer Lauren Elena going home with the Breakthrough Video Award. And we will get to meet her in just a few weeks. She's joining us here on Fox & Friends Summer Concert Series. That's on July 7th. Mark your calendars. Back to you guys.
I love Carrie Underwood. She's one of my favorites.
Isn't she great?
Yeah.
So talented.
Absolutely.
I like that catfish. Well, that was a catfish, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Okay. We're the animal rights activists. I'm waiting to hear from them. All right, Jackie, thanks so much. 12 minutes after the hour, voters heading to the polls in the United Kingdom ahead of a crucial election that could shape the future of U.S.-UK relations for a long time to come. We are live there on the ground. Coming up.
And hey, do you remember the Texas lawmaker who went on that 3-day hunger strike to try and stop the Trump administration from cracking down on illegal... Good morning and welcome back. A live look in London where the polls are open and voting is underway for the British general election.
That's right. Prime Minister Theresa May fighting a closer battle than expected in a decision that'll shape the future of U.S. relations with the UK.
That's right. Foreign Affairs correspondent Benjamin Hall is live in London. Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning, Rob and Gillian. This election was called early because the Conservatives were sure that they would win by a mile. But a few things have happened over the last couple of months which mean the chance of a far-left government here in the UK is far greater than ever before. Theresa May effectively inherited power from David Cameron after he resigned following that Brexit vote. And she said that she wants her own political capital moving ahead into those negotiations. But she has recently been accused of political U-turns, of failing to inspire the people, and as such has been called a right-wing Hillary Clinton. Frontrunner against her is left-leaning Jeremy Corbyn. He's socialist verging on Marxist, and he's been called the Bernie Sanders of the UK. He has said that he would never press the nuclear button. He wants to nationalise rail and water sectors. He wants to dramatically raise taxes and increase benefits. His own party held a vote of no confidence against him, but in a matter of weeks, he has been closing the gap. Recent attacks in London and Manchester have taken centre stage here, twice suspending the election campaigning. Corbyn has blamed the UK's foreign policy for attacks such as these, and he supports dialogue with the terrorists like the IRA and Hamas. But this election is now being touted as a victory of democracy over terrorism. Well, what does this mean for the U.S.? Well, under May, that special relationship would stay much as it has done. But under Corbyn, British foreign policy could do a 180. Corbyn has spoken out countless times against U.S. foreign policy, and that would mean a vastly changed partnership with the U.S. in the fight against terrorism. So while the polls do still indicate that Theresa May will win this, we've seen them be wrong in the past with Brexit and with Trump, and so for today at least, this country is holding its breath. Back to you guys.
And you said he supports dialogue with ISIS. Is that right, Benjamin?
He hasn't said ISIS, but in the past he's talked about dialogue with the IRA and Hamas and other groups like that. He certainly supports that over action, yes.
That's a very interesting take on that. Okay, Benjamin, thank you so much.
Yep.
All right, 18 minutes after the hour, President Trump bringing a message of hope to middle America.
Yes, it's time finally to put America first, and that's what I've been doing, if you haven't noticed.
So what do the viewers think? The brand new dials just in. President Trump is bringing a message of hope to the heartland, touting big plans for infrastructure and health care during a stop in Cincinnati. So how did it resonate with voters? Pollster Lee Carter is here to be putting the president to the dial test, if you will. And we want to get right to it because we have a couple different topics here, Lee, that we want to get to. And let's start off by hearing what President Trump had to say yesterday in regards to Obamacare being dead.
Obamacare is in a total death spiral. And the problems will only get worse if Congress fails to act. Obamacare is dead. I've been saying it for a long time. Everybody knows it. Everybody that wants to report fairly about it knows. The House of Representatives has done its job. It sent a plan to the Senate, and the Senate is working it over. We spent a lot of time yesterday with Mitch McConnell. And a lot of the great senators, they happen to be Republicans because we're having no help. It's only obstruction from the Democrats. The Democrats are destroying health care in this country.
All right, Lee, what type of grade do you give?
So you can see the Republicans love this message. They gave it an A+, independents a C, and Democrats an F. Now, I think the most fascinating thing to watch throughout this whole process has been the independents. And on Obamacare, it's also, the polling shows that support of Obamacare has increased almost 20 points since President Trump took office.
Why do you think that is?
I think in large part it's because there is no message on what health care is going to do, what Republicans are going to do for the American people. There's only a message of what's going to be taken away. And I think people, the Democrats have done a very good job of saying 24 million people are going to be losing care, and they have messaging. And we saw in the election cycle, Hillary had the anti-Trump message, and she didn't garner support. Donald Trump had, this is what he's going to do for him. They're not doing that for health care. They need to if they want to win this debate.
And he hasn't swayed at all when it comes to the message he's trying to get across when it comes to Obamacare.
That's right. It's a failure. But we need to know now, what are the Republicans going to deliver?
Okay, let's go to the next topic right now, and that is time to rebuild our country. This is a message we've heard a lot about lately as well, putting America first. Take a listen to what President Trump had to say.
Build in foreign countries. We spend trillions and trillions of dollars outside of our nation, but we can't build a road, a highway, a tunnel, a bridge in our own nation. And we watch everything falling into disrepair. It's time to rebuild our country, to bring back our jobs, to restore our dreams, and yes, it's time finally to put America first, and that's what I've been doing, if you haven't noticed.
You grade this one a little closer.
A lot closer. You can see that Republicans off the charts, an A+, independents much more in line there with B+, and Democrats even gave this a C. This is the President Trump that people elected. They want to hear about America first. We're going to make things great again. We're bringing back jobs. When he focuses on this, it resonates with the American voter. It resonates with Americans, and this is where he shines.
Absolutely. And this next one is definitely a big topic because of everything that's been going on in the country the last few weeks, especially the funding of terrorism and the fact that he says it's going to stop. Take a listen.
I want to thank the King of Saudi Arabia, King Salman. We spent a lot of time together, and they're doing a great job. They're going to be doing something very special. You see it with terrorism, the funding of terrorism. It's going to stop. Got to stop the funding of radical Islamic terrorism, and they're going to stop.
So you can see this is obviously better than he did with health care, but still, this is a message where President Trump shines. Republicans gave it a B+, independents a B-, even Democrats gave this a C-. When he's talking about national security, the fight against terror, people feel more secure, and that's another area where he shines. But really, when he focuses on jobs, the economy, making America great again, putting America first, that's when he wins American voters over.
And that's when he wins them over, is making stops like he did yesterday.
Absolutely.
That's his comfort zone.
That's where he shines.
Thank you very much for joining us. Rob?
All right, thanks, guys. 26 minutes after the hour, in the hot seat, James Comey releasing his prepared testimony ahead of today's highly anticipated hearing.
Comey has now told us all that the president is not under investigation. All in all, it's a pretty good day for President Trump.
Well, Senator Lindsey Graham there, why he says today will be a good day for the president. Also, Christopher Wray picked to be the new head of the FBI. And welcome back. And a live look, a beautiful morning. Yeah, sun about to come up here at 5:30 on the East Coast as we look south through into downtown Lower Manhattan from Midtown. That's the Empire State Building. A beautiful morning. And a Fox News alert. President Trump feeling totally vindicated as ousted FBI Director James Comey prepares to testify on Capitol Hill today.
The former FBI director releasing a prepared statement before today's blockbuster Senate hearing.
And good morning. You're watching Fox and Friends. First, I'm Rob Schmidt.
And I'm Jillian Mealy. Let's get right to the news of the day. And Ellison Barber, who's live in D.C. with the details. Ellison.
We're just hours away from Comey testifying for the first time since he was fired by President Trump last month, excuse me. And as you guys said, we already have a pretty good idea of what he's going to testify today because the Senate Intelligence Committee released his prepared opening remarks yesterday. So here's a little bit of what we expect for him to talk about. Comey says that he did tell President Trump that he was not under investigation. He also claims President Trump asked for a so-called loyalty pledge and once suggested the FBI drop their investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Comey claims the latter happened about 3 months ago at the Oval Office. Writing in his testimony, quote, "We were alone. The president began by saying, I want to talk about Mike Flynn. He then said, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go." Comey goes on to say he felt the president was, quote, requesting that the FBI drop the Flynn investigation, but not the broader investigation into Russia. Trump previously denied the Flynn accusation on NBC News.
Did you ask him to drop the investigation?
No, never.
Some Republicans say the president did not cross the line, even if he walked up to it.
I think it's right for a president to expect him to be honest, and I would say that's the best way to handle it. What I didn't see is him being pressured by anyone else, and Jim Comey doesn't articulate anyone else pressuring him.
Democrats disagree. In a statement, Representative Adam Schiff said, quote, "The fact that this request was made after the president excused everyone else from the room strongly indicates that the president was more than aware of the illegitimacy of such demands." So far, President Trump is not commenting on Comey's prepared remarks, but his personal attorney is. In a statement, he said, quote, "The president is pleased that Mr. Comey has finally publicly confirmed his private reports that the president was not under investigation in any Russian probe. The president feels completely and totally vindicated." Comey's public testimony is expected to begin at 10 a.m. Afterwards, there will be a closed session where he'll talk to senators as well. Congressional hearings like this can sometimes lead to impeachment, but they can also lead to absolutely nothing. Back to you.
All right. Ellison Barber, thank you very much. And that brings us to Look Who's Talking. And this morning, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham is slamming the accusations that President Trump obstructed justice.
Yeah, he says it's clear there is no case, otherwise Comey wouldn't be testifying.
I think the president is frustrated because he knows he didn't do anything. What Comey and I think Mueller has concluded, I don't have an obstruction of justice case here. What prosecutor in their right mind would allow their star witness to go out before the Senate panel of 20 senators and get beat up if you really believe he had a case? Because he allowed Comey to testify in public. And Comey has now told us all that the president is not under investigation as an individual for colluding with Russia, that President Trump is not a target or subject to a criminal investigation or counterintelligence investigation regarding colluding with the Russians. All in all, it's a pretty good day for President Trump.
President Trump nominating Christopher Wray to become the next FBI director. So who is he, and is he the right man for the job?
Yeah, here with some first-hand insight is former Assistant Attorney General in charge of the DOJ Criminal Division, Alice Fisher. Alice, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Thanks.
Also in the
Good
running.
morning.
Good morning. And you were also in the running for that job yourself, I understand.
That was an honor, yes.
I'm sure it was, and congratulations for at least being in the running for that. But tell us a little bit about Chris Wray.
Oh, Chris is an excellent choice for this job. He's got the right experience, he's a brilliant lawyer, and he cares deeply about the institution. And let me just say, the men and women of the FBI, they are amazing. They're out there protecting us every day, doing a great job. Chris will be a great leader for them.
Now, I've been reading a lot about him in the last 24 hours, obviously, as you can imagine, and some of the things that I keep reading, that he's a man of impeccable credentials, as President Trump had said, that he's low-key, he's deliberate, that he'll be able to remain independent. You know him on a personal level. How would you describe him?
Absolutely all of those things. Highest integrity, smart, focused. He works so hard. In the days at the Justice Department after 9/11, when we were working on national security together, for those many weeks and months, he worked all the time. He was focused on the mission, committed to getting it right and doing the right thing, upholding justice in national security and all sorts of things.
And it sounds like he's been on both sides of criminal law. He prosecuted Enron, but he also defended Chris Christie. So he's dealt with white-collar things, and it's going to be interesting for him to move into this position if he is confirmed in this environment. But you know, would it be strange? You were up for this job. Would you be a bit mortified coming into this position with all of the hoopla around it right now? Usually most people don't even know who the FBI director is. You know, most people couldn't name them. But right now, James Comey is the center of attention.
Yeah, well, it's the men and women of the FBI, the 35,000 that are doing the job every day, that are out there protecting us and trying to do everything they can in law enforcement for the country. And that's what I think people should focus on, the great work that they do. And Chris is going to come in at this time or any other time, and he's going to be committed and focused on the job. And he's got the right experience to do it well.
Alice, what do you make of the timing of this announcement?
Well, I think the timing is great because it absolutely, they need a leader, and let's get Chris confirmed and get him in that job.
You think this is going to be a tough confirmation process? I mean, how do you see this going in? He needs 51, right?
Yeah, but Chris was confirmed before by the Senate for the job when he led the criminal division. I don't think that there's any issues, and I'm very hopeful that the Senate will confirm him promptly so the FBI can get on with their business.
And one more question from me. Why is he the right man for this job?
Right experience, the right demeanor, committed, loyal to upholding justice. I think he's a perfect leader for the FBI right now.
All right. Alice Fisher, thanks so much for coming on this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. 37 minutes after the hour, President Trump meeting with Obamacare victims in Ohio, where another insurer has just pulled out of the exchange there.
Problems will only get worse if Congress fails to act. The Democrats are destroying health care in this country.
So what will it take to bring relief to American families and fix this mess? Brian Brenberg joins us live with that coming up next.
And his music burns up the charts, but one country music star is burning up the internet with an iconic fashion statement from last night's CMT Awards. The romp hymn, if you will. Oh, I didn't make it up.
All right, President Trump meeting with victims of the Obamacare mess in Ohio. Thousands of people left without coverage after Anthem, the insurer, has just pulled the plug.
Ray and Dan are just two of the many victims of the Obamacare catastrophe created by congressional Democrats. And the problems will only get worse if Congress fails to act.
All right, so what will it take for Congress to pass real change and bring relief to American families? That's the big question this morning. Joining us now, Chair for the Program in Business and Finance at the King's College in New York City, Brian Brenberg. Brian, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Good to be here.
First thing I want to get into, there's two sides to this story. If you ask the Republicans, this is a failing, crappy system that was, never going to work anyway. If you ask the Democrats, the Republicans are trying to sabotage it and make it worse than it really is. Give me what the real story is with this, because it's almost like they want you to be confused.
Republicans are saying the system is broken, it doesn't work, the economics don't work, and they're right. And look, Democrats have even said that. Democrats have said the system doesn't quite work the way it was supposed to. We need to fix it. So that is true. Democrats, though, are also saying Republicans aren't going to any great lengths to try to rescue it. They're saying, look, we should be providing payments to insurers that help low-income individuals pay for their insurance policies. Republicans are saying we're not going to do that the way that Obamacare prescribes, because we should have to appropriate that every year. Those payments shouldn't be automatic. In other words, Congress is saying it's illegal to make those payments the way we're doing it right now. That's a dispute.
Okay. So so basically Obamacare is far too expensive. That's why the rates are going up. That's why everybody can't afford it anymore. But the government wants to subsidize the Democrats want to subsidize that with some money, and the Republicans are saying no, we're not going to do that.
Republicans are saying we don't, not the way that you've prescribed doing it. We should have to appropriate that year after year. We're not doing that right now, and so that's what Democrats are complaining about. That's where you see the rub going on here.
What is the fix to this? I mean, if you look at this is not really a conservative idea at all, the socialization of health care. How are conservatives and Republicans going to fix this problem? Because they've already admitted we're going to have it, I guess.
Yeah, look, I mean, the House has passed its health care bill. It's with the Senate. Now, the problem right now is Republicans can't agree. And President Trump was out on the trail, just the other days in Ohio saying, look, we need to do something about this. And he's right to be pointing to Republicans and saying, we need to solve this problem. We knew that Democrats weren't going to help us solve this problem. Voters knew that Democrats weren't going to help us solve this problem. That's why they gave us majorities in the House and the Senate. We need to come together and solve this. Right now, Republicans are having trouble doing it, and that's why you're seeing, actually, Lee Carter was just on a minute ago saying that Obamacare is actually looking more and more popular in the polls. Part of that is because voters don't believe the Republicans actually have a plan they can put in place.
And it doesn't look like they have a plan to put in place. But I honestly feel like if you're a traditional fiscal conservative, I mean, this war was lost the moment that they allowed this health care system to even begin. Even whatever you call it, Obamacare or whatever you want to call the new one, Trump care, it's not a conservative thing.
Well, no, look, there's a lot of heavy lifting that has to go on, because the health care system is inextricably bound up with government right now. And what the Republicans are trying to do is move it in the other direction. Now, they just can't agree on how to do that and what pace to do that at. But if they don't get it done, voters are going to pin the failures of Obamacare on them. And if Democrats come back in power, it's not going to move to a free market system. It's going to move more in the direction of government control, single payer, public option insurance. So there is no status quo here. What's important is there is no status quo. Obamacare can't stay the way it is. Democrats know that. Republicans know that. The question is, will Republicans fix it in time, or will Democrats have the chance to move it more in a government direction?
And you got the moderates and then the far right, everybody trying to cover their butt for the 2018 midterm. Nobody wants to claim they made the wrong move here, so it's just dicey.
And the president is out there saying, you've got to figure this out, because you're all going to pay the price in 2018 if we don't get this done.
Jeez. I'm so glad I'm not in politics. Brian, thanks so much for coming on today. Jillian, we'll send it over to you.
All right, it is 15 minutes until the top of the hour. Good morning. Do you remember the Texas lawmaker who went on a 3-day hunger strike to try and stop the Trump administration from cracking down on illegal immigrants? Well, guess what? She was put in handcuffs. We'll tell you why. And a live look at Capitol Hill, where James Comey will be testifying just hours from now. As you can imagine, social media already exploding. Don't miss Carly Shimkus. She's coming up next.